Hi guys, back at Little River Forge. We're actually in the forge today. This is the video I promised to show you the tools that I use to make my knives, just to show you that you don't have to have all the big fancy stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go through it now. Right, okay, for cutting my wood for handles and stuff like that, the basic cutting, I usually use this. It's called an Evolution, just a chop saw. I'm not going to spark it up, it's like super noisy, but it's got like safety thing on there that I can never get. Right, yeah, about 80 quid off Amazon, works fine, not any problems with it. So yeah, that's all you need. Obviously you can use a handsaw if you want, but this is like zoom and you're done. So that's what I use for starting off cutting the shapes for my handles. Right, okay, so this is the like kind of sharpener grinder thing I use. It's quite handy. Again, I think I got this from like Lidl's, maybe like 30 quid from Lidl's or something like that. Very rarely use this stone here for the actual sharpening. This one I use mostly like when I've been cutting metal and everything's a bit jagged or something. To start up the cleaning up process, I usually just use this wheel here. It's not super powerful, but it's powerful enough. If you're pushing it hard, it will just stop. And one thing I've had to make myself do is not use the center of the wheel all the time, so because I started making a groove in it. But I've kind of like even that out now, and it's fine. So yeah, so that's like 30 quid. So that will be a massive help to you. This, for some people, isn't necessary. It's a little Laney amp connected to my iPad here. Because basically, like, I cannot live without music. So if I'm actually forging, hammering and stuff like that, anything from, you know, like a bit of Megadeth maybe, just for the rhythm, you know the way. Right, okay. When I'm filing or stuff, Chris Stapleton, Beth Hart, something like a little bit more mellow, you can sing along with, you know, it just makes life much more pleasant. Right, pillar drill. Brilliant. For quite a while I didn't have one, and I just used like a battery charged drill, and I'd be like forever, and it was a bit of a nightmare, but you know, you can do it. Got lucky enough, my really good friend and colleague, fellow tattoo artist Carl Roberts, donated this, and it's been a massive help. Yeah, it's a pillar drill. I'm sure that, well, if you can go to car boot sales or whatever, you'll pick them up pretty cheap, or tool auctions and stuff when you're allowed to go again. I have no idea what they cost, you know, on you know, new, but there you go. Right, just quickly while I'm here, hanging up here is I've got an apron, which you absolutely need, a couple of respirators, goggles. Really good idea to use them. I'm going to be honest, I don't use them all the time. My dad, Danny Green, I love you, always gets on my back about, you know, using safety equipment. I've also got another apron here. Definitely helps, because otherwise you get things like this, big holes where you actually like burn holes into your overalls, which is, you know, counterproductive to say the least. Okay, my little sander, right? This is a Sealy disc sander. Basically, I'm pretty sure, again, Amazon cost me about 80 quid. When you originally get it, there's a big guard, there's a guard here and stuff like that. But because like you change your sanding, oh shit, what are they called?
Belts.
Sanding belts quite a lot, thank you my love. Sanding belts a lot. I just found it was a massive pain in the arse, so I just took it off, right? You know, right, because it's a lot easier and I like using it. And on this side, it has like your flat disc sander. Really handy for like evening things up and stuff like that. It's not super powerful, but you know, it's good to put an edge on, and you know, it really has, it's done me well, and I've had it, I don't know, year and a half or so, and it's still running well. I use it quite a lot. So yeah, so that's that. Right, okay, now here's like something I've like, it was another donated tool. In fact, I swapped it for a Killer Bee tattoo machine grip, believe it or not, to my friend again, Carl Roberts. He swapped me this sander, traditionally for using on like wooden floors and stuff like that, but you can use it on metal, and there's a couple of different ways I use it. So I'll show you the first way now. I always clamp G-clamps, get some G-clamps by the way. I always clamp my piece of metal down here. This is a chopper, kitchen knife stroke chopper I'm working on for my son Liam Green. It's been a lot of forging and there's a lot of grinding there. It's still yet to go. So I'm just going to show you firstly how I use it in this position, and then I'll show you how I mostly use it. Okay, here we go. My glasses. Okay, so that's the first way I use it. Really handy. Oh, you know, you could use it on wood as well, obviously. Really handy, and like if you use a really coarse belt, it will take off, you know, a fair amount of material if you haven't got a large belt sander, which I haven't yet. So that's the first way I use it. Now I'm going to show you the second. Okay, this is the second way I use this sander, and it's the way I use it the most. It's probably like a health and safety nightmare, but it really works well for me. What I do, I turn it upside down. I clamp the handle here in the jig, but I turn my jig, it's one of these jigs where you can like turn it to the side. I turn it on so like the rest of this sander is now basically resting on the bench, so it can't go anywhere. Okay, so I'm going to turn it on and show you basically how I use it. It's kind of like similar to how you would use like a big belt grinder, but I haven't got one, so this is what I do. Yeah, that's how I use that. I have a water tank here, which is just an old massive saucepan I think we used to use to make chili when we had big parties. I actually got the water from the little stream outside, which is why we call this little river forge. So it's fresh water, and yeah, so this is a massive help to me. Not having a big belt grinder, this helps me do things like this. This is a big thick piece of metal, and on the little grinder it would take me forever, and with files, you know, I'd wear my arms out. Okay, next thing. Okay, little torch. This is like super handy if you're just like trying to bend stuff or things like that. And what I found this awesome for is on the Bowie knife I made for Chris Barrett. I did a burn through tang, so this was perfect for it. You know, really good. And if you're stuck, you can use it on your creme brulee. Right, okay, this is probably the bit that everybody wants to see, really. And this is the actual forge that I use. I ordered this from Devil's Forge, which I believe is a company in Lithuania. I'll be honest, I'm a little bit worried, obviously. It sounds like, you know, you're never going to get it. But it turned up exactly on time. I think it took about a week to get here. Works great, comes with everything you need. What I will say is though, if you're making like short knives and basically anything that's like this big, you know, that kind of thing, you probably be more economically sound to get a 1 or 2 burner forge. The 3 burner forge is awesome. It heats up everything really fast and stuff like that, but it uses a lot of propane. So if we have a look over here, there's my propane tank, and I keep a spare. But yeah, I think when I can afford it, or when things, whatever happens, I will be getting a 1 burner forge as well. just to go alongside this one, and I'll use both. This table is an old garden table. It's got an old piece of an old pool table on top of that, and I've screwed a big sheet of mild steel on the top of here, and it tends to work really well. I won't stop yet, I'll go on here. This is what I use for my quench tank. I think it was an old vase. And it's like an old metal vase, obviously it's got no holes in the bottom. It's got your vegetable oil in that. What I tend to use is, I'll heat up this bolt before I do my heat treat. Chuck the bolt in there, it gives some heat to the vegetable oil, so it's not such a shock to the metal when it goes in. Yeah, so we'll keep going. This is my anvil. I got super lucky with this. I've got a friend and a customer called Simon Hall, and he's a man who can get you stuff, I tell you that. He imports cars from America, and he's a real character, lovely guy. So basically, he was in our shop getting tattooed, and we mentioned about me doing the forging, and within a couple of days, he'd found me this, which is freaking amazing. It's on a log of wood that my nephew James cut down, and my father donated. The chains, people ask about the chains. The chains are basically to stop the ringing out so much. You know, it does cut down a little bit on the noise. The motorcycle chain, it's basically, I don't use this a lot, but I will do in the future. It's if you're trying to do something with two hands and you're struggling, you can take your piece, put it underneath the motorcycle chain, get a grip on it with your foot, it'll hold down, and you can use both hands. So it's just a really handy thing. Again, Carl Roberts gave me this chain, so big up to Carl again. Thank you very much. So that's the anvil. Okay, over in this corner, on the top here, I've got all my sanding stuff, gluing stuff, sharpening stuff and things like that, polishing. Yeah, so basically the sanding belts, all that kind of stuff is up there. This one has got most of my metal, knife making metal anyway. Got some brass up here, got some really nice steel and stuff like that. Here is my handle material. Most of this has been donated to me. Friend Jim Smith gave me a couple of really nice pieces of hardwood, which we don't know yet what it is. I bought some a couple of pieces of ruby sapele, which that's not it. This is it, and that's really lovely. That's what I've made my handles out of so far, but I think I'm going to, change it up in the next couple. Brian Hindley gave me some really nice oak and stuff, so thank you, Brian. And I actually bought these because I'm rubbish at reading, and I thought it was pieces of walnut, and it turns out it's that fucking thick, right? So I'll find a way of using them for liners, or I'll find something to do with them. Down here is just all my tools, files, etc, etc, etc. So back to the handle material quickly. Here's some scales, knife scales that are resin knife scales that my amazing sister Sharon Green, who's got CNS Creations, she made them. Absolutely beautiful. I'm looking forward to doing them. I'm going to make a kitchen knife soon, and I think these are going on. I think these are going on the kitchen knife. They're absolutely stunning, like with the gold leaf in and everything. I really love the pattern. I can just imagine them being really cool on a kitchen knife. So yeah, so I'm really lucky. My sister is actually like an awesome resin artist, and I'm just really lucky that, she's part of my life and she can make them for me. Fire extinguisher, just in case, in here, bits of tools, funny things that I'm keeping now, like old belts and stuff like that, that help me a lot. Under here, there's some spare fire bricks. Really easy to cut. You can literally cut them with a bread knife, to help you shore up your forge to stop all the heat getting out. Okay, we'll just walk over here a little bit. clamps. You can never have enough clamps. Just get clamps and clamps and clamps and clamps and clamps, all different shapes and sizes. Sooner or later you'll find someone to use them. These, I think, were like for pegging out washing, I think. I'm not completely sure. But what I do is if I, for acid etching, say Damascus, I'll put them in there. I'll put that on the tang and drop it in. Again, it's wide enough not to go too far. Brilliant. Ferric chloride here for doing the acid etching. Various, you know, I've got a couple of angle grinders here and stuff like for cutting metal and sanding and stuff like that. Jigsaw. Obviously hammers. I've got lots of different hammers. I'm always collecting different hammers. Arc welder. We have an arc welder down here. I hardly do any welding, but like if I have to weld a tang on, if I'm using Damascus or whatever, that's what I use. Again, more tools, and yeah, in all honesty, that's it really. And you could do without loads of that stuff. When it comes to metal, basically, if you're starting off and you don't want to buy new metal, basically just get people to donate or go to car boot sales. Things like this, an old spanner, you could definitely make a blade out of that. You know, old files, chisels and stuff like that. Yeah, so basically that's it. Oh, gloves, very important. If you don't want to burn your hands all the time. Oh yes, just a quick one. This is something that I've found I use a lot if I can find them. Doesn't matter. I'll just. Oh yeah, found them. Okay, not long ago my son got a barbecue delivered, and he's always after me to get rid of the packaging and stuff like that. So when I took it, I found these on the edges to keep the packaging rigid. It's just cardboard, thick cardboard. And what I realised, if you cut it, they make really, really good jaws for your vise when you're using anything that you've already polished or you don't want to get dirty or put vice marks on. It's perfect, just cardboard. And yeah, I've got loads of it, so you know, that's really good stuff. I've got copper piping I might be using for parts of handles and stuff like that. So always just keep your eyes out for anything that might come in handy. There's only just like one thing I'll just show you. Another thing I sometimes use on the handles is this engraving plastic stuff. You can cut it with a pair of scissors. It sands perfectly easy, and it's quite nice if you want to make some little accents in your handles. If you're stacking a handle, put a little bit of that, because it's black but it's got the white on it as well, so you get the black and the white in the handle, so it's a really nice graduation. And I've got some red as well. So yeah, basically that's it really. The only thing I'm missing here is a kettle, but I'm sure I'll get that sorted. Oh, quick one, big shout out to my good friend Ben Povey, who put all this heat resistant plasterboard up for me. Don't worry, your knife is on your way. You're the guy getting these scales, and I'll be starting making your knife very soon, mate. So yeah, so basically you don't need a shitload of money. You need a space to do your work in and a few tools which you can build up over the time. And you know, just get creative. You think, oh, I can use that for that. You know, you probably can. Have a go. Right, I'll see you next time. Thank you.